I'm here with Tony of Sonata Arctica to talk about the upcoming new record out March 8th on Atomic Fire, your first release with Atomic Fire. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this album, but I'm sure you're really excited to see this album finally reach the light of day, where at least we're almost there.
Absolutely. Well, imagining that we had to deliver our parts already at the end of August. So we have been sitting on this album quite a long time, even before we have a chance of talking about it to anybody. So yeah, it's about time getting it released.
So let's talk about this album. Let's talk about the process that got you guys to this record. Before you guys even thought about what you wanted out of this record sonically, did you guys analyze the previous albums? Did you guys sit down and look, okay, this is what we've done. This is kind of where we want to go, kind of build a roadmap that kind of guided your creative process? Did you guys take that approach, or did you take a different approach?
When I started writing the songs, I just gazed the names of the songs because I know what they sound like and what they are like stylistically. And I started building an album that would fit the same kind of field with the early albums. But then I forgot about the whole thing and just kept writing whatever was coming. And I knew that I just want to write super many speedy tracks for this album. And it turned out okay. I was just, channeling songs, and I think the final result of the tracks were somewhere between 15 or 20. So there's like too much material, and I had to stop writing at some point because Tommy was hitting the studio, and we had to choose which of these songs we are actually going to start recording. And that was a fun process, obviously, and then it still left a decent amount of songs for the next album, something of a starting point when we start working with the album number 12 in some point. Yeah, and then when it comes to the sound, we didn't think there would be any other way than going back to the original gangster himself, Mr. Mikko Karmila of Finvox Studios, who created the original Sonata Arctica sound. Then he mixed the album, and that's why it sounds the way it sounds, like Sonata Arctica is supposed to sound.
Is it always like this for you? Like, do you always, when you come into the creative process of an album, do you always end up with that much material that's just way too much for you to use?
No. This is very unusual. I was sort of getting in the somehow flow mode when it came to the songwriting, and then just every day there was a new song, or at least like a carrying idea that would be a song in some point. And I have like a lot of them there waiting for the future projects. And it was a lot of fun, and this usually does not happen to me. But then again, I haven't written a power metal album in the longest time. So writing these power metal songs, it's a lot of fun and fairly easy, because it has to come up with some happy-go-lucky melodic chords and progressions and whatnot, and that's it's very easy. And I'm not the biggest fan of power metal per se. It's not my go-to thing to listen. But I enjoy writing it and creating new power metal songs. It's a lot of fun, and singing them live, of course, as well, and seeing how the people go crazy over it. But as a fan, it's not my go-to music much.
So what is your go-to music?
Just about anything from 20s jazz, early jazz, to Devin Townsend and some black metal albums that they are out there, and just anything, everything. Just usually something a little bit calmer. If I had to choose one album to go on like a deserted island, it probably would be some classical album, greatest hits kind of thing, or then something from 40s and 50s, something that is music that breathes. It has real instruments and real vocals, and it has air to it, something that your ear does not get so easily tired of it.
You mentioned something that to me it's really important. You said that you wanted to create a power metal album, easy to do, fun to do. But I don't know if you've noticed, there's not a lot of great power metal albums coming out in the last couple of years. Did that inspire you to say that, you know what, it's time for us to bring back a little bit of power into power metal?
No, not really. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the genre per se, so I have no idea what's out there basically. But what I do know is that people have been complaining after every album that Sonata Arctica should be power metal and blah 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 blah, and when at the same time I never considered us the purest form of power metal. When you take bands like Dragon Force, for example, we are not power metal at all in comparison to them. They are like super straightforward, crazy and over the top and fantastic at what they do, and we are different. But still, yeah, we do have power metal elements, and people they have a need to label things, obviously. So power metal probably has been for many the easiest label to slap on us. And when as I would probably love melodic metal the best, but whatever, it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, power metal.
Yeah, the legacy of the band
Yeah.
speaks for itself. I mean, you guys have built a career, you guys have built a legacy, the fan base, all of that. Do you let that, because you're saying you heard the fans, they wanted some power metal, you're going to give them some power metal. Does the legacy of the band and everything that you guys achieve play any role whatsoever in how you look forward into future albums?
Mm, not really. I haven't really cared about any such things in the past myself, but a lot of things sort of contributed towards us going back to this power metal thing. First of all, the previous album, Talviewer, which was way too slow and moody and dark, and the production was something that is not at all Sonata Arctica like. And then releasing 2 acoustic albums and touring extensively, having a really super long tour with us and getting tired with the acoustic thing and finally getting it out of the system. And then around the same time, having the 25th anniversary tour, where we took a lot of those old power metal songs in our set list, and it was a lot of fun to play and see the reactions of the people. And that one thing, that actually was the thing that sparked the feeling and the need for us to go back there. We wanted to be able to have this feeling on the show, not like people just like doing this, but going crazy and having the energy that the music brings, and write more songs in the same vein that we can bring along and play together with the older songs, and songs that actually blend in with the old songs without too much work. So yeah, it was a bunch of things coming together, and fundamentally also what the fans want us to have. If we wanted to go back to the power metal thing, this is the time, and not 10 years from now. Absolutely. I'm gonna be 49 this year, so
You don't look a day over 20, so you look fine. You're aging
well,
like
you are too kind. Thank you very much.
you're aging like a fine wine. Unlike me, I'm aging
Yeah.
more like bread.
I feel the same way, but you have a nice color on your beard, man.
Yeah, we have some similarities, but you have more dark than I do. So
Yeah.
you're aging way better. It's the Finnish air. The Finnish air allows you to age a
Must
lot
be,
better.
yeah.
Yeah, the
By
Canadian
the way,
air doesn't do it.
by the way, it's minus 30 here today, so
It's minus 20 for us in Toronto today. So yeah.
high five.
Our countries are so similar in terms of
They
everything.
are,
Temperature,
yeah.
love for hockey, like everything, like the similarities is unreal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like two brother countries, if you will. We're kind of in the same hemisphere in terms of the latitude, so a lot of
Yeah,
similarities between both nations.
absolutely.
When you were putting that, you mentioned the live, and you guys have toured a lot. Like you guys have played a lot of live shows. When you were creating these songs, were you thinking about that aspect, like, oh, this line here would work really well when we're performing this song live? Were you thinking from that perspective?
There are a few things that I can't mention or name right now, but anyway, there are some lines that I know that people are going to sing along this, or this is something I'm going to make people do this and that. And it's also really smart to sort of think about certain show elements when you are writing the songs, because it makes the whole thing so much easier when you are actually coming up with the shows and the set lists. Because well, we need to have this song because it allows me to do the thing with the crowd, and it's some songs are just better for the show. Not even though you might have better songs per se, like better melodies and such on other songs, but if any one song allows you to do something that people love to do in a show, then it's worth putting there, and it has a sort of, it's a primary thing in a way, priority.
When it comes to your vocal lines and how you approach an album vocally, do you do any work beforehand? Does that any consideration going in your songwriting in terms of what you want your vocal melodies to be like?
Yeah, I've read the melodies alongside the chord progressions, and the melodies are the most important thing for me. And oftentimes I actually sing. I have my vocal booth right here next to me. So when I'm writing songs, I usually sing along with early demos already, and so yes, I'm paying a lot of attention to the vocal lines. The only problem is that sometimes because the lyrics are the last thing I write, and I always forget that that certain vowels, for example, they are not very suitable for singing certain notes. so having a certain word in a certain bit of a song might be a huge problem. And then when you think you're finished with the lyrics and you're singing the final version of the song for the record, and then you realize, Jesus Christ, that's just pain in the ass, like sound to have there, like ee! So you try really hard to find an alternative word for that point that allows you to go instead of whatever. That it allows you, makes it easier for you to sing, and you can make a certain sound much easier.
Is the lyrics the least favorite? What's your least favorite part of the process of putting a whole record together?
I think it's very hard to say. I do. Well, let's approach this from the other direction. My favorite thing is writing the songs, the melodies, and everything. That's the thing that I love. And then lyrics is something I fear. It's the worst, like the most work. I feel like it's the hardest thing that I'm doing while recording. But still, at the same time, I love it. It's fantastic when you get to put the words and the meanings to the songs, but it's definitely the hardest bit of the whole thing. But I think the beginning of the mixing is pain in the ass. I really don't like it at all. It's a nightmare because you need to make such huge decisions, and everything sounds disappointing in the beginning. The few like a couple of first versions are just like, oh my god, where is this going? And your head is going over gear, and just overloaded, and then you try to come up with what's wrong with this version, and then just, can you please fix this thing? And then you finally reach the point where it sounds like the same way that your demo sounds, basically, but only that it actually really sounds good, because your demos always sound much better in your own head than they actually do. so it's a funny thing. So you try to go back with the mix, you always try to go back to the demo sound, but not at the same time.
Considering that you said that
writing happens to me.
Writing power metal songs, it's really easy for you and you have such a great time. Does that make the whole album process one of the easier albums recently for you to put together, or was there still some challenges that you had to face?
It was actually fairly easy. The songwriting just happened. The album more or less, wrote itself. I just kept the songs coming and I had to end in some point because we had to hit the studio. So it was easy, and I have overload, like so many songs there. We could choose, which is not something that happens, like I told earlier. But could you repeat the question? I sort of drifted away.
No, I was just saying that you said the whole process was really easy. So was there anything that wasn't easy? Was there any challenges, or the whole record process was?
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it was like the creation of the album. The hardest part was probably some moments in the studio and the beginning of the mixing. But like I wrote vast majority of the lyrics on our Latin American tour, which allowed me to basically sit on the pool and listen to the demos and write lyrics while watching, birds fly around and under a palm tree, and having a drink on my hand on a day off. So it was something totally different from what I usually gaze at through my window here, which is snow and ice and everything, and try to get inspired by that. So it was a different environment, and it was fairly hard to write about snow and ice and everything in that environment. But I don't know, maybe I somehow managed to make an album that lyrically sounds cold anyways. I don't know, but this was much easier than some other albums in writing wise, at least.
When you're going through the recording process, do you start to realize right away the songs that are going to make a future set list, or do you guys worry about set lists when a tour is about to get started?
Like I'm completely in love with each and every song that I write at that moment when I'm writing. I'm getting goosebumps, and it's like, oh, amazing, amazing. And then when I have like 10 songs, then all the songs go into a perspective in a way. That one song that I wrote in the beginning that was fantastic. I thought it's the best song ever. It's not necessarily. It's okay still and very good, but still I've managed to write much better songs. So it's like that basically. It's and of course the best songs are the ones that get played and get to be the singles and everything. But sometimes early on you are like in the case of Dark Game Path, for example. When I started writing it, I knew that this is going to be a song that we're going to play live, and probably going to be a single as well, which is going to be as well. So
are these decisions democratic decisions, or do you take the burden upon yourself, upon your own shoulders, to be a little bit of the ruler in deciding this stuff?
We are a democracy, and I'm a dictator. So basically, so this needs to be a skipper for every boat. So I usually, especially when it comes to how we use our money, that is something, because it's our common thing. It's our, like, everybody pays the equal amount and gets paid the equal amount from album sales and such. So it's those decisions are democratic, and we make decisions together. But when it comes to art, everybody has a saying, but fundamentally, like I told from the get-go, that when we were deciding which songs are going to be singles, I pointed my finger at Dark Game Path, that no matter what, this song will be one of the singles. This is a decision, and I'm not allowing any other decisions, any other songs in it. But then the rest of the songs we took a label in as well, and luckily they also felt that Dark Game Path is one of the strong songs on the album. So, and it was chosen to be a single. But yeah, mostly democratic. I take everybody's thoughts and opinions in account, but then again, me being the songwriter, maybe I sometimes know better than the other ones.
You have the final veto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's sometimes really hard when you have been working on a song for a year sometimes, or even a longer time, and you get so marinated in it, and you are probably at that point paying attention to a wrong thing and not like seeing the whole picture that much. So it's always smart to at least ask other people what they think about it, so you can pay attention to something else as well.
Yeah, you're so involved in the process from the beginning all the way to the end that I'm sure after working on them, it becomes really hard to tell the forest from the trees. Everything starts to kind of just become one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your voice is iconic. It's part of the legacy. It's part of the legacy of the band. I mean, we cannot talk about the band and not talk about your voice and your performance and what you bring to the table. Does that add extra pressure on you to make sure that you follow a regimen, that you're keeping your voice fresh, that you're doing all the right things, or that's just a gift of God? You could smoke every day and drink and nothing would change.
I wish I could, but no. I actually, during the recording of the previous album, Talviö, I had major problems with my vocals at the time, and it had been something that was developed over the years, since like 2017, I think. It was just getting worse and worse and worse until after the recordings of Talviö. Unfortunately, I noticed the problem, and I'm telling you this because there might be singers reading this and checking this out, and it was tongue tension that did not allow me to sing any high notes with crisp, like, power. And it was weird when I was trying to sing really high notes and then use power. Everything that came out was like, and my lungs were empty in a second. And it was an awful thing that I was unable to physically produce the sound that I wanted to. And it was tongue tension. So I started stretching my tongue carefully. And the first time I did it, I took like this cotton thing and I started pulling my tongue out, and it started twitching like crazy and all over the place. And like any muscle, when you have like huge tension and you're stretching it, when it gets looser, it starts making those twitches. And my tongue was crazy, and I was doing it for like 3 weeks. When it started to get better, and suddenly I noticed that I can do it. Wow! Even that kind of sound was fairly impossible for me to produce in some point. So it was a big thing, and I recommend, if you are having similar type of problems, check your tongue. That's one thing.
Did you discover this on your own, or did you look for help in order to find what the problem was?
Online mostly. I went to like vocal massage things, which helped like momentarily then, but I should have at the same time done the tongue stretches and exercises, and it was just, I went to a vocal coach also, but I think they paid attention more to the breathing technique, which was not the problem at all. And it almost messed up my breathing technique when I tried to start breathing in a way that was correct according to certain technique, but it wasn't my style. So I had to sort of learn away from that technique and start trusting on my old me, how I've always done it, and it has worked perfectly. And just, get my tongue in shape and
get your tongue
and start learning. Yeah, exactly. And I had to, start studying and sort of relearn my singing. It's a process. I'm still doing it, but it's a hell of a lot better. You can hear it from the album that I can do much more things than I did on Talia. But it's definitely, I need more shows and more stretching and everything, but I'm getting there. I've been able to do the old songs as well, so it's no problem at all.
One last question for you. You guys have toured a lot. Last time I saw you guys in North America, you were on tour with Battle Beast and Camelot. It feels like a lifetime ago. Will this album bring you guys back to North America?
I do hope so. It's a bit of a nightmare financially, the whole whole thing right now. But I hopefully 2025 we will be able to come there in one form or another, at least one festival or whatever. Anything I would be happy to do there. But a tour definitely would be fantastic. And I don't know. We've been scanning our options, but a lot of them are super expensive, and you do not want to go home with $100,000 minus from a tour like that. So there are a few ways you can check and scan the market. Like maybe you have a crowdfunding tour that people are getting and sort of scan their credit cards there and prepay buy their tickets. So we know if there's like even remote possibility for us to go there. So if there are enough people that we know that are coming to see the shows, then we can come there and do it. But I hope anyway that this album will bring us back a lot of the things and a lot of the fans that we've lost during the years. We've been exploring ourselves in the woods of other music styles and we get our power metal fans back as well. So that would be fantastic, but it would definitely allow us to come to North America as well.
I'm hoping the same thing for you guys. It's always a pleasure to see you live, and it's a pleasure talking to you. So if you guys come to North America, we'll have this chat in person, and we'll be able to kind of talk a little bit about how the album has been and if it's met all of your expectations. So Tony, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. All the best with the release on March 8th, my birthday. So great birthday gift for me.
Oh,
so yes, it's a bonus. So thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Pedro. Let's do this again. See you on your side of the battle.
On my side. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.